Autumn rain drummed against the confessional of San Giovanni in Laterano as Bishop Domenico Coretti pressed fingers to his temples, the headache pulsing in rhythm with the storm. The scent of incense hung thick, mixing with dampness that seeped through ancient stone walls. "Forgive me, Excellency, for I have sinned." Mother Superior Agnese Fontana's voice carried the same measured authority she had wielded for 15 years. But beneath it, Coretti detected something new, the calm of someone who had made an irrevocable decision. "Mother Agnese," he straightened, fingers tightening on his rosary beads, worn smooth by decades of prayer. "This is highly irregular. You should confess to Father Matteo at the convent." "Father Matteo is part of what I must confess, Excellency." The bishop's breath caught. Through the screen's lattice he could see only her shadow, the sharp Roman nose, the severe wimple. Outside, a carriage clattered past, wheels splashing through puddles. The sound faded, leaving only the rain and the thundering of his own heart. "Speak then, my daughter." "For 6 months," Agnese began, her voice steady, "I have been receiving visitations, not from our Lord or the Blessed Virgin." She paused. "I have been speaking with the devil himself." Coretti's hand froze, his rosary beads clicking softly. "Mother Agnese, do you understand the seriousness of what you're claiming? The implications for your position, your soul?" "I understand perfectly, Excellency, and I tell you this not because I am possessed or mad, but because in these conversations I have learned terrible truths. Truths about our church, about men who claim to serve God while serving only their own appetites and ambitions." The bishop leaned closer to the screen. "If you have knowledge of corruption, present evidence through proper channels." "The proper channels are corrupted, Excellency." Her tone sharpened. "Tell me, when did you last wonder why Senator Moretti donates so generously to Santa Lucia? Or why Monsignor Bianchi visits our convent every Thursday evening, always requesting the same novice, young Sister Chiara?" Blood drained from Coretti's face. Bianchi, his seminary colleague, destined for the College of Cardinals. Sister Chiara is 5 months pregnant with Bianchi's child. The senator's donations, 50,000 lire this year, ensure our silence. The devil has shown me ledgers in Father Matteo's quarters, recording payments to families whose daughters conveniently discovered vocations, correspondence between Cardinal Rossetti and brothel owners regarding discretion. The confessional seemed to shrink. His mouth had gone dry. Why would the devil reveal such things? Through the screen he heard what might have been a bitter laugh. Perhaps because he knows the truth will destroy us more thoroughly than any lie. Perhaps because he delights in watching holy men protect reputations rather than souls. Or perhaps, her voice dropped, because even the devil grows weary of hypocrisy. "This is blasphemy, Mother Agnese. First, come to Santa Lucia. See for yourself. I have kept records, letters, testimony from sisters who have suffered in silence. The devil promised me that if I spoke, I would be destroyed, but the truth would remain. Like a seed in scorched earth. I plant that seed with you." Rain hammered harder. "If what you say is true, the scandal would reach the Vatican itself." "It already has, Excellency. Why do you think I came to you? You have no ties to Rossetti, no debts to Moretti. You are either a fool or an honest man. I have prayed desperately that you are the latter. Silence save for rain and thunder. I will come tomorrow. Noon. Pray that you are right about me, for both our sakes. I have prayed for nothing else, Excellency, though I confess, I no longer know if anyone is listening." She left, footsteps echoing. Coretti remained, clutching his rosary until the beads left marks in his palms. Outside, Rome sprawled beneath rain, the eternal city where popes had built palaces on martyrs' bones. The devil speaking to a mother superior. Absurd. Yet the names, the details, those were simply true. That night, sleep eluded him. At his window, watching gaslights flicker through downpour, he thought of cloistered women behind stone walls. Secrets kept, souls sold. Somewhere in that darkness, Mother Agnese knelt, speaking to God, the devil, or no one at all. The bishop pressed his forehead against cold glass and wondered which of them was right. Father Leone Marchetti arrived in Rome on the morning train from Milan, stepping onto the platform at Termini Station as November winds swept through the iron and glass structure. He carried nothing but a worn leather satchel that had accompanied him through half a dozen investigations across Italy, and a reputation that preceded him like a shadow. At 28, he was the youngest investigator the Jesuit order had ever commissioned for matters of possession and heresy. Some called him brilliant, others called him dangerous. All agreed that when Leone was summoned, someone's carefully constructed world was about to collapse. Bishop Coretti met him personally on the platform, an honor that spoke volumes about the gravity of the situation. The bishop looked haggard, as though he hadn't slept properly in weeks. His cassock, usually immaculate, showed signs of careless dressing. Father Leone. Coretti extended his hand, studying the young Jesuit with undisguised curiosity. Leone was tall and spare, with dark eyes that seemed to catalog everything they touched. The nervous tremor in the bishop's hand, the way his gaze darted toward passing clerics. Your journey was pleasant, I trust. Informative, Excellency. Leone's voice carried the precise diction of someone who chose his words carefully. I read the dossier you sent 3 times during the journey. Fascinating case. A Mother Superior claiming demonic communication, yet showing no classic signs of possession according to your observations. Lucid, organized, methodical, disturbingly well-informed about matters she shouldn't know. They walked toward the bishop's waiting carriage, past vendors selling chestnuts and newspapers proclaiming the latest political scandals. Leone noted how Coretti's eyes darted nervously toward every passing cleric, as if expecting judgment or recognition. A man carrying secrets, Leone thought, or a man newly burdened by terrible knowledge. I must confess, Coretti said as they settled into the carriage, the leather seats creaking under their weight. I am uncertain what I expect from this investigation, what I hope for. Mother Agnesia's complicated doesn't begin to describe her. She's brilliant, ruthless, utterly committed to what she believes is right. People rarely claim to speak with the devil without reason, Excellency. Human beings are fundamentally rational, even in our irrationality. Either she's constructing an elaborate fiction for purposes we need to understand, she's genuinely experiencing something she interprets as demonic communication, or, Leone paused, watching Rome slide past the window, ancient ruins standing shoulder to shoulder with Baroque churches. Or she's found a way to speak truth that no one can ignore, a strategy disguised as madness. The bishop's face paled at that assessment. You think it's performance theater? I think it's strategy, Excellency, which doesn't make it any less real in its effects. Tell me about her background. Who is Agnesi Fontana when she's not Mother Superior of Santa Lucia? Coretti shifted in his seat, clearly uncomfortable. Agnesi Fontana, born 1863 to a minor noble family that had fallen on difficult times, gambling debts, bad investments, the usual story of aristocratic decline. She entered Santa Lucia at 17, not, I suspect, entirely by choice. Her family needed one less mouth to feed. But where other women in her position might have accepted comfortable obscurity, Agnes transformed herself, rose through the ranks through sheer force of will. By 30, she was Mother Superior. She transformed the convent from a genteel retirement home for aristocratic daughters into something far more austere, more disciplined. The sisters fear her, I think. The church hierarchy respected her, or they did until this madness began. And the accusations she's making? You mentioned in your letter that you'd begun verifying some of her claims. The carriage hit a pothole, jostling them both. Coretti gripped the window frame. I have spent 2 weeks quietly verifying what I could without drawing attention. Sister Chiara is indeed pregnant. I arranged for a discreet medical examination through a doctor I trust absolutely. The ledgers exist in Father Matteo's quarters, though obtaining them will be problematic without his cooperation. As for the rest, if even half of what Mother Agnesi claims is true, Father Leone, the scandal will reach all the way to the Vatican Palace, which is precisely why you requested a Jesuit investigator rather than handling this through normal diocesan channels. I requested you specifically, Coretti admitted. Your reports from the Verona possession case and the Florence Stigmata investigation, you have a gift for separating theatrical madness from genuine spiritual crisis, and you are not entangled in Roman politics. Leone smiled faintly. A diplomatic way of saying I have nothing to lose, Excellency. The carriage turned onto a narrow road that climbed away from the city center. Here, Rome became less eternal and more simply old. Crumbling aqueducts, overgrown villas, land too poor or too sacred for development. Santa Lucia appeared gradually, first as a bell tower visible above the trees, then as a complete structure of weathered stone and narrow windows. It looked less like a convent than a fortress. Leone descended from the carriage and stood for a moment, studying the building. No gardens visible from the entrance, no sign of the contemplative beauty he'd seen at other convents. Just walls and locked gates and, above it all, a wooden cross that seemed to lean slightly, as if bent by the weight of prayer. Father Leon, a priest, emerged from a small side door, squat, well-fed, wearing expensive vestments that seemed almost obscene in this austere setting. "I am Father Matteo. I must protest this investigation most strenuously. Mother Agnese is ill, delusional, suffering from what I believe to be a severe mental crisis. She requires rest and prayer, not interrogation. Your concern is noted, Father." Leone's voice remained neutral, but his eyes never left Matteo's face. "However, the Church takes all claims of demonic contact with utmost seriousness. Surely you understand that we cannot simply ignore such accusations." Matteo's jaw tightened. "Of course. But disrupting the entire convent, unsettling the sisters with questions about matters they don't understand. Truth sometimes unsettles, Father. In my experience, that's often a sign that truth is needed. I'll try to be as quick and discreet as possible." Bishop Coretti placed a hand on Matteo's shoulder. "Father Leon has full authority here, granted by the Vatican itself. Please ensure he has access to anything he requires." The priest's face reddened, but he bowed stiffly. "As you wish, Excellency. Though I pray you remember that some accusations, once spoken, cannot be unheard. Some investigations cause more damage than the sins they purport to uncover." "A curious argument," Leone observed quietly, "for a confessor to make." He followed Matteo through the gates into a courtyard where 3 nuns worked in complete silence, scrubbing flagstones. They didn't look up as the men passed. The convent's interior was as spare as its exterior. Whitewashed walls, minimal furnishings, the cold efficiency of a place where comfort had been systematically eliminated. Leone noted the heavy locks on interior doors. The way sound seemed to die in the narrow corridors. "The Mother Superior's office is this way." Matteo's voice echoed strangely. "She has been waiting for you." They climbed a stone staircase worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. At the top, Matteo knocked once, then opened the door without waiting for response. The office beyond was small and meticulously organized. A desk bare except for a single candle, walls lined with books, a crucifix hanging slightly askew, and behind the desk sat Mother Agnese Fontana. Leone had expected severity and found it in her posture. Spine straight, hands folded, expression giving away nothing. But her eyes surprised him. He had expected madness or fanaticism. Instead, he found calculation and something that might have been sardonic humor. "Father Leone Marchetti." She spoke his name like a diagnosis. "The Jesuit who specializes in unmasking frauds and exposing theatrical possession. They sent a skeptic. How refreshing." "Mother Agnese." Leone dismissed Matteo with a gesture, waiting until the priest had reluctantly withdrawn. "I am here to determine the truth, whatever that may be." "The truth." She smiled, and it was not a kind expression. "How admirably ambitious. Please sit. I suspect this will take some time." Leone remained standing, moving instead to examine the books on her shelves. Augustine, Thomas Aquinas, but also Dante, Machiavelli, and several volumes on Roman law. Not the reading material of a simple nun. "You claim to have conversations with the devil. Tell me about the first time he spoke to you." "Straight to business." "Very well." Agnese stood and moved to the window, looking out over the convent walls toward distant Rome. It was April 20th, just after Easter. I had been praying for guidance. We were facing financial difficulties, and certain benefactors were making suggestions about how we might secure their continued support. Suggestions that troubled my conscience. During my prayers, in the chapel, I heard a voice, clear as my own thoughts but distinctly other, amused, almost gentle, asking me why I prayed to a God who clearly wasn't listening. "And you believed this voice was Satan?" I believed it was my own doubt at first, my own conscience speaking in the voice I feared most. But it returned, night after night, each time with more specific knowledge. It told me about Sister Chiara and Monsignor Bianchi, details I later confirmed through careful observation. It told me about the ledgers, the payments, the network of corruption that uses Santa Lucia as one small cog in a much larger machine. It offered me power, as the devil always does in stories. But the power it offered was simply knowledge. Truth, the most dangerous thing one can possess in Rome. Leone turned to face her directly. You understand that what you're describing could be interpreted as your own consciousness processing information you had observed, but not consciously acknowledged. There are natural psychological explanations. Of course there are natural explanations, Father. Agnese's voice sharpened. I am not a superstitious peasant who sees demons in every shadow. I have studied theology, philosophy, even some psychology. But tell me this. If I simply stood before the bishop and accused Monsignor Bianchi of fathering a child on one of my sisters, what would have happened? Leone considered carefully. You would have been dismissed as a hysteric, possibly removed from your position. Precisely. The word of a difficult woman against a powerful man. But if I claim the devil told me? She spread her hands. Suddenly, everyone must pay attention. The church cannot ignore demonic claims. They must investigate. They must send someone like you. And in investigating the devil's supposed influence, you must examine the truth of what I've said. Do you see? I have found the only way to force the church to look at itself. That is either brilliant or insane, Mother Agnese. Cannot it be both, Father? She returned to her desk, pulling out a locked drawer. From it, she withdrew a leather-bound journal. Before you decide, read this. My conversations with the devil, as I've recorded them over the past 6 months. You'll find he has excellent taste in scripture and a remarkable knowledge of canonical law, almost as if he were not a demon at all, but simply someone who has paid very close attention. Leone took the journal, feeling its weight. And if I determine you've fabricated all of this, that you're using these claims for your own purposes, then you'll do what you must, Father. Declare me mad. Remove me from authority, but the evidence will remain. The pregnant sister, the ledgers, the money flowing through this convent from men who expect certain services in return for their piety. You cannot uninvestigate that truth. The devil has already won, you see. Whether I'm possessed or political, whether I'm a saint or a fraud, the truth is now in motion. Someone will have to account for it. She held his gaze, and Leone saw something he hadn't expected. Fear, not of demons or investigation, but of something deeper. The fear of someone who had made an irreversible choice and now had to see it through. I will read your journal, Mother Agnese. I will investigate every claim. And when I have determined the truth, I will report it, regardless of consequence. I would expect nothing less from a Jesuit. She moved toward the door, pausing with her hand on the latch. Fair warning, Father Leone. The truth you uncover may be more dangerous than any demon. Men forgive possession. They forgive madness. But they rarely forgive being exposed. After she left, Leone sat at her desk and opened the journal. The first page contained a single line, written in careful script. The devil came to me in the voice of my own conscience, and I could not tell the difference. Outside, Rome continued its ancient rhythms, bells ringing for prayer, markets closing for siesta, and in a small office in an isolated convent, a Jesuit investigator began reading the confession of a woman who had chosen the only weapon available to her, the truth, dressed in the clothing of lies that men would believe. The wind picked up, rattling the window in its frame. Somewhere in the building a woman was weeping. Leone did not look up from the journal. There would be time enough to catalogue suffering. First, he needed to understand what Mother Agnese had truly unleashed. 3 days in, Leone had filled 2 notebooks and slept 10 hours total. Sister Chiara's examination confirmed her pregnancy. Father Matteo's ledgers revealed systematic payments, but the letters damned them. Leone sat at dawn reading correspondence from Mother Agnese's hidden trunk. The devil told me where to look, or perhaps I noticed which priests were most nervous. He unfolded Monsignor Bianchi's letter on expensive paper. Dearest C., your condition troubles me, though my concern is for discretion, not conscience. Father M. assures me arrangements can be made. Senator M.'s generosity will ensure your comfort. Afterward, the child goes to a Napoli family. The church cannot afford scandal. Neither can I. May God forgive us both. B. Leone had interviewed Sister Chiara, 19, pale, trembling, hand protecting her belly. She confirmed everything. Bianchi had used confession's seal to manipulate her, promised special treatment for silence. A knock. Sister Beatrice entered, middle-aged infirmarian, carrying a wooden box, hands shaking. Father Leone, Mother Superior said you needed this. What is it? Correspondence between Father Matteo and Cardinal Rossetti. I found it 2 years ago when Father was drunk, left his trunk unlocked. I should have burned it, but I kept it, hoping someone would ask the right questions. Leone opened it. 24 letters. He read one, blood draining from his face. Does Mother Agnese know the contents? She knows what they concern. I told her, but I never showed them. I was afraid of what she'd do with such knowledge. The letter detailed bribes to Vatican officials to overlook irregularities, discussions of which young women might be susceptible to vocation if encouraged, mentions of how difficult sisters could be declared unstable, corruption's bureaucracy, chillingly efficient. Why show me now? Sister Beatrice met his eyes. Decades of complicity there. Because Mother Agnese is not mad. I've lived here 23 years. Watched good women broken by men who used power to take what they wanted. That silence is killing us. If Mother Agnese must claim the devil speaks to force someone to listen, perhaps the devil is more merciful than God has been. She left. Leone sat surrounded by evidence of systematic abuse. That afternoon he confronted Father Matteo. The priest arrived defensive, jowls quivering. Sit down. Leone's voice was quiet but commanding. I've read the ledgers. Your correspondence with Rossetti. Explain how donations were redirected to families whose daughters subsequently entered here. Matteo's face crimson. Those were legitimate vocational gifts. Bribes. You paid families to send daughters so you could collect larger donations from patrons who wanted vulnerable women available. Leone slapped letters on the desk. I have correspondence in your hand. Testimony from 3 sisters, medical evidence. Continue or start telling truth. The priest slumped. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Cardinal Rossetti explained that influential men needed discreet spiritual guidance opportunities. All above board at first. But requests became specific. Arrangements for indiscretions. By then, I was so involved that refusing meant exposing myself. So you facilitated rape and called it pastoral care. What will you do? Report everything, recommend Vatican investigation, you'll be removed immediately. And Mother Agnese? Mother Agnese is not possessed. Not delusional. Simply a woman who found the only language powerful men would hear. You created an environment where truth was impossible, so she dressed it in theater. That's not diabolic. That's desperate. That evening, Leone found Mother Agnese in the chapel, kneeling in amber light. I've reached my conclusion. But first, why this method? Why claim demonic communication rather than normal channels? She rose, joints cracking. Because I tried normal channels. 3 years ago, I wrote detailing concerns. The letter returned with a note suggesting I overstepped authority. 2 years ago, I reported financial irregularities. I was told to be grateful. Normal channels protect the powerful, not powerless. So I invented a channel that couldn't be ignored. But the risks? Yes. But also grounds for investigation. Investigation means someone like you, outside the system, with authority to ask questions bishops would rather not hear. I gambled the church's fear of demons would outweigh its desire to protect corruption. Leone stood beside her, facing the crucifix. Even with all evidence, justice may not come. Powerful men protect themselves. I know, but the evidence exists now. You've documented it. Even if they escape consequences, the truth is no longer solely mine. That's all I hoped for. Not justice, just forced acknowledgement. The devil would be proud of your strategy. She turned, tears in her eyes. Perhaps God has a sense of humor about how truth must travel. I'll accept any judgment. Madness, possession, heresy. But not silence. Not anymore. That evening, Leone wrote his report. Mother Agnese Fontana is neither possessed nor delusional. She employed unconventional strategy to force institutional accountability. Her claims are metaphor, not manifestation. She speaks with the voice of conscience those in power have ignored. True demonic influence lies in systematic exploitation by men who used religious authority for profound evil. If the devil spoke at Santa Lucia, he spoke through actions of those who betrayed sacred trust. I recommend Mother Agnese be cleared of demonic charges. However, I recommend comprehensive investigation of all matters related to the convent over the past decade. Justice requires examining uncomfortable truths. He sealed the report. Tomorrow, ecclesiastical justice would begin. But tonight, he thought of a woman who claimed to speak with the devil because no one would listen when she spoke for God. The summons came on a cold December morning. Bishop Coretti was to present himself and Father Leone before a Vatican tribunal. Mother Agnese wasn't requested to attend. They want to control the narrative, Leone observed. If Mother Agnese were present, She might say something inconvenient. Coretti looked haggard. Cardinal Rossetti is on the tribunal. How can we expect impartiality when one of the accused sits in judgment? We cannot. Which is why Mother Agnesi chose her method. She knew the system would protect itself. But once evidence is documented, it can't be completely erased. They traveled in silence. Rome prepared for Christmas. Decorations in windows. Roasting chestnuts. Children practicing carols. The tribunal convened deep within the Vatican. 5 prelates sat behind an ornate table. Cardinal Rossetti at center. 70, cold blue eyes, political acumen. Leone recognized Archbishop Benedetti and Monsignor Pascoli. Bishop Coretti. Father Leone. Rossetti's voice was cordial. This matter has caused considerable concern. We thought it best to address it thoroughly and discreetly. Not investigate. Not pursue justice. Simply, address. Your Eminence, Coretti cleared his throat. Father Leone's report is comprehensive. Yes, very thorough. Rossetti waved dismissively. Though one might argue certain interpretations were colored by sympathy, the interpretation is based on documentary evidence, Leone replied evenly. Sister Chiara's pregnancy is not interpretation. The ledgers aren't interpretation. They are facts. Facts, yes, but meaning can be complex. Archbishop Benedetti leaned forward. Sister Chiara engaged in consensual relationship with Monsignor Bianchi. Regrettable, but hardly the scandal your report suggests. Young people make mistakes. The Church offers forgiveness. Sister Chiara was 19, isolated, and Bianchi was her confessor, Leone said. He used confession's seal to manipulate her. That's spiritual abuse. A matter of perspective. Rossetti interjected smoothly. Father Leone, you are young, idealistic. But the Church must balance idealism with practical concerns. If we pursued every allegation, where would it end? The Church's mission is to save souls, not create crises of faith. Leone felt something cold settle. This wasn't truth-seeking. This was damage control. Your Eminence, Coretti spoke, voice shaking. We're talking about systematic exploitation. Allegations from a Mother Superior who claimed demonic communication. One might question her reliability. Mother Agnesi never claimed literal possession, Leone insisted. The substance has been verified independently, or selectively verified to support predetermined conclusions. Monsignor Pascoli spoke dryly. You interviewed 20 sisters, out of 45, those Mother Agnesi suggested, hardly unbiased. The discussion circled for 2 hours. Leone presented evidence. The tribunal reinterpreted it. Through it all, Rossetti steered toward minimization. Finally, Rossetti delivered the determination. Father Matteo will be removed and transferred to administrative duties. He will undergo spiritual reflection. As for Monsignor Bianchi, while his relationship showed poor judgment, there's insufficient evidence of coercion. He'll be counseled and Sister Chiara relocated where she can reflect on her role. You're punishing the victim, Leone said flatly. We're managing a complex situation. As for Mother Agnesi, while not possessed, she's experiencing mental distress. She'll be removed as Mother Superior and placed under supervision. Coretti stood abruptly. Your Eminences, this is not justice. This is cover-up. The room fell silent. Rossetti's expression hardened. Bishop Coretti, you forget yourself. To question our judgment is to question the Church itself. Then perhaps the Church itself needs questioning. Coretti's voice steadied. I have served loyally for 30 years. I have overlooked rumors, looked away from truths, but I can no longer participate. Father Leone's report will stand as official record. My testimony will stand alongside it. If this tribunal buries both, that choice will also be part of the record. Defying this tribunal has consequences. I am aware, but my conscience can no longer afford ignorance. He turned to Leone. Come, we have said what we came to say. History will judge. Outside in the Vatican gardens, Coretti sank onto a bench, trembling. I have destroyed my career. Leone sat beside him. You spoke truth to power as yourself. That matters. Does it? They'll bury everything. We documented truth. Once evidence is recorded, it can't be completely erased. Someday someone will find our testimony. They'll know some people tried to demand accountability. That evening, Leone returned to Santa Lucia. Mother Agnès was packing. So, transfer and supervision. Her voice was steady. Was it worth it? By conventional measures, perhaps not. The powerful remain powerful. Then what was accomplished? You forced investigation. You created documentary record. You gave voice to silenced women. You demonstrated that even in systems designed to protect power, individuals can resist, not always successfully, but meaningfully. Agnese sat on her bed. The devil would be proud that I accomplished so little at such cost? I don't believe you spoke with the devil. I believe you spoke with your own courage, intelligence, refusal to accept silence. If that sounded demonic to those in power, perhaps that says more about them. She smiled, sad but genuine. You are kind. The church needs more like you. What will you do? What I'm told. But I will not be silent. I'll continue to speak to anyone who'll listen. The devil or conscience gave me one gift, understanding that truth spoken is always better than truth swallowed. Before he left, Agnese gave final instruction. Keep copies of your report, hidden where the church can't reach. Someday, someone may need to know that not everyone was complicit, that some tried. I will, I promise. 2 weeks later, Mother Agnese was transferred to Abruzzo Mountains. Father Matteo received his Vatican posting. Monsignor Bianchi went to southern Italy. Sister Chiara disappeared to Sicily, her child taken at birth. Cardinal Rossetti continued his rise. Senator Moretti increased donations. The machinery of institutional self-protection functioned exactly as designed, but Father Leone kept his promise. He preserved evidence, quietly shared it with scholars and reformers. He taught students about Mother Agnese, the Mother Superior, who claimed to speak with the devil, and spoke more truth than most saints. Years later, when Leone was old, he received a letter. Shaky handwriting, but recognizable. Mother Agnese from her mountain exile. Dear Father Leone, I am 83 now. The devil no longer visits. But I wanted you to know our work was not in vain. 2 sisters recently came asking about Santa Lucia. They'd heard rumors. I told them everything, and they listened. Change comes slowly to institutions built on stone, but it does come. Each sister who speaks, each priest who documents, each bishop who refuses complicity, we are seeds planted in hard ground. Some won't live to see harvest, but that doesn't make planting meaningless. The devil taught me that truth matters even when it fails to produce immediate justice. Or perhaps that was God's lesson. Either way, I'm grateful for what we attempted. I remain proud that when silence was demanded, we chose speech. Yours in faith and defiance, Agnese Leone folded the letter with his archived documents. Outside, Rome stretched toward the horizon, eternal, corrupt, beautiful, always changing despite itself. Mother Agnese's story became a footnote in church history, mentioned rarely. But the truth she forced into light continued to burn. A small flame passed hand to hand. By those who understood, institutions change through countless small acts of courage. Mother Agnese Fontana died in 1928, attended by sisters who learned from her example. Her last words, "Tell them the devil kept his promise. The truth remained." Whether she spoke to God, the devil, or her own integrity, history will never determine. But perhaps that ambiguity was her final gift. Understanding that sometimes the most sacred act is not pious submission, but defiant speech, regardless of cost. In Rome, the stones remember everything. And somewhere in that endless memory, they remember a woman who refused silence, who dressed truth in lies because lies were the language power understood. The devil would have been proud. But then again, so would any god worth worshipping.